The reason I tend to speak, and I've actually stopped doing a lot of talking now, is because I'm old. And that's the truth. Most of the generation who were active when I was active as a young man in the 60s, the 70s and the 80s have disappeared. They're not anarchists, they're not socialists, they're not Trotskyists. Or if they are, they keep themselves to themselves. And I still am rather active. And so I get asked to speak. And in a sense, this could well be the last time I'll speak. Because I really am running out of things to say. And I'm really getting quite tired of being, like, in some sense, because I'm stupid enough to keep being active, as some sort of expert. I'm not an expert. I haven't got any answers that are going to make the revolution come tomorrow or get rid of this fucking twisted gnarly system you call capitalism. If I had any answers, we wouldn't be, would have had anarchy 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if I could actually speak with authority. And all I can do is A, to wish you well in what you're doing, and to try and chat a little bit about a few things that have been on my mind before I move into retirement as a sort of speaker, and I can just live in old books and newspapers, because that's, it's actually all right there. They can't talk back to you. It's like the fucking green anarchists in America. It's all right because you love trees. They never talk back to you. They say fuck off. They don't. You say, I love you, tree. I'm going to save you. And they say, oh, thank you. They don't say anything, do they? And sometimes it's a problem, and I'll explain that a bit more later on. I don't suppose many people in 1968-69 would have foreseen the way that capitalism has been so ingeniously clever in surviving. It's a wicked, vicious system that is morally, emotionally, economically cruel, vindictive and destructive. And it's a system that all my life I'd love to have got rid of. And I'm certain of people of my age in this room, we've all taken the wrong turns and the right turns at various stages to try and get rid of it. But I have to say, I'm not convinced that what we did weakened it sufficiently for us to think that even in this crisis that's happening, that capitalism is coming to an end. Now, I wish it was. I really wish it was. But I'm not sure yet it has. But I think we can all agree, whatever our tendencies, whatever our beliefs in this room, that it's a wicked, mendacious system. And that a system that's based on equality and mutual aid, and the possibility of all that richness and talent that's in individuals that's crushed by capitalism. A system like that, a way of life like that, that is based on mutual aid and mutual support and equality and the flowering of individuality, is an aim worthy to die for, to fight for. I'm always minded of George Orwell, in Homage to Catalonia, who, when he gets to Barcelona, he sees all the stuff going on in the cafes, the waiters refusing to be given tips, the trams on the Rambla being controlled by the workers themselves, the schools being organised by students where there is no exams, there is no religion, it's mutual support. And he said he had no idea what was going on, couldn't understand it, but he instinctively realised that it was something worth dying for. And those of you who've had the fortune to speak with any older Spanish anarchist who were involved in anything to do with Spain, either in the creation of communities and communes in Asturias, in Andalusia, Barcelona, Aragon, who managed for some time to create what they called a living utopia, to create a revolution in their own lives. And I say this without anything mystical. If you've ever met them and spoken to them, you're aware that they experience something that very few people have. And it's not a question of being in awe or thinking they're Christ-like figures. But I can remember speaking with people like Miguel Garcia, who actually formed the Anarchist Black Cross. He was one of the early organisers. It was the Black Cross who brought him to England from prison. Miguel had been in the Spanish Revolution, and he was a forger. He forged documents for the anarchist resistance, and the British taught him to do it. Actually, the British taught him to do it so their flyers who crash landed in France could get into Spain, and in Spain they'd forge documents and get him away back to Britain. And then Miguel was captured. He was in the Italian gang, the Italian group. He was captured, and you know, the usual horror story, I'm afraid. Many of his comrades were shot, and he was sentenced to death, and the night before he was executed he was given a reprieve. Now when you spoke to Miguel Garcia, he was the most vicious, fucking bad-tempered bugger you'd ever meet in your life. Hello Barry, fuck up there. Alright Miguel, sorry. But at times he'd talk to you and you realise that he'd done something and been somewhere that I never had, and maybe I never will now. He'd experienced something in his head and in his life that I wouldn't. And he used to say that, look, you know, any revolution can be economically successful if you play your cards right, you take the right line, something works out for you. But what's really important is that revolution that will take place in your everyday life. If there's not that revolution that changes the possibilities you can see and feel, that changes how you see the people you live with and work with, if that don't happen, what's the fucking point? What's the point? And you sit there, yeah, I was a young kid, yeah. And even now I remember those rather drunken discussions, because in some senses all that I've been trying to do all my life is to get to that stage. Now I've only touched it really once, something once. My father was a coal miner, I was a coal miner, till I decided to become educated and teach young brats like Matt there. And I you know, when the strike broke out in 83, 84, you probably know about it, the miners came on strike, there was some split in the union, and the strike lasted a year. You sexy bastard, you're and, the miners' villages in Yorkshire were hotbeds of discussion, and there were hotbeds of organisation. And you could go to those places and you could see mutual aid in action. You could see people working out what to do with the money that was coming in from donors all over England. So-and-so's only got 3 children, they have that much money. So-and-so's got no children, they have less. So-and-so's got 7 children, they have that. Do we give any money to the Scab family down the road whose daughter was hurt in an accident? Now, look, I don't really know how Wellington, I mean, all I know about Wellington is it fucking rains and it's so miserable. But I don't know how you operate here and how you work in your community work or where it is where you live. But please, please do not ever think that working class people are incapable of organising and sorting out their own lives. Do not ever think that, because if you do, one day you'll probably get a kicking, and quite rightly so.